Do not scroll past this message. What you are about to hear is not a standard weather forecast. It is an urgent letter of survival. You might remember the scorching, skin-cracking summers we have endured recently across the American West. Forget them immediately. They were merely a gentle prelude. A terrifying truth is being hidden behind those rosy, colorful forecast models. Humanity has stepped into the deadly threshold of the summer of 2026. Major meteorological organizations have officially sounded a death knell. They are issuing the ultimate red alert for our survival. We have forever lost the mild, predictable seasons of the past. The era of global warming has officially closed. It has made way for an era of global boiling, when the El Niño current carries immense heat and combines with skyrocketing ocean surface temperatures. Disaster strikes. This creates a terrifying resonance, acting as a giant furnace that melts everything. The flames of extinction are waiting to drain every last drop of water. This will destroy every survival rule we have ever known. The fury of the earth and sky is about to strike the sacred heart of our agricultural lands. A brutal sentence has been passed down. The global boiling tragedy of 2026 has named its primary targets. Please hold your breath and focus intensely. Your hometown or your own flesh and blood might be inside this firestorm. In the United States, the Central Valleys of California stand on the brink of destiny. Do not let subjective complacency rob you of your family's lives. Concrete armor will shatter before nature's wrath. Please stay until the final second to grasp these lifelines. Why has this specific valley been chosen for such devastation? To truly understand the chilling cruelty of this 2026 catastrophe, we must look deeper. We cannot just look at dry, soulless weather forecasts every night. Those numbers are deceiving humanity. Why is the American West, specifically the deep valleys nestled between towering mountain ranges, targeted? We must step back and look at the deep geographic and atmospheric long game. Modern science tries to cover up the fear by calling this a perfect climate trap. But the truth behind it is far more terrifying. Look straight at the massive geographical structure of the San Joaquin Valley. The majestic presence of the Sierra Nevada mountains has always been a sturdy backbone. It protects the interior from certain weather systems. Yet, in the fiery summer months of 2026, this massive wall becomes a cruel geographic curse. The towering mountain range acts as a merciless barricade. It completely blocks any cool, life-giving air currents. This terrain turns the valley into a giant, suffocating furnace, trapping all living creatures inside. Imagine the blinding, scorching summer sun acting like thousands of flaming arrows striking the earth. The massive heat radiation is frantically absorbed by everything. In normal open plains, this deadly heat would have infinite space to dissipate. But here, the rising heat tries to escape and violently crashes into the stone walls of the mountains. Finding no exit, it helplessly rolls back down. The entire atmosphere is locked in, continuously cooked and melted in a confined space. Temperatures skyrocket wildly, defying all physical laws with no stopping point. What invisible killer accelerates this deadly process? The harshness does not stop at trapped heat. That is merely the necessary condition. The sufficient condition that turns these valleys into a living hell in 2026 is a vicious, invisible killer. In meteorology, it is known beautifully as the Föhn effect, or the intense downslope winds. The nightmare begins with massive air masses moving across the high desert. As this heavy air struggles over the towering mountain peaks, it is forced high into the atmosphere. The temperature drops sharply, forcing it to dump all its life-giving moisture as rain on the windward side. The mountains drain the very last drop of life from that air mass. When this now bone-dry wind slithers over the desolate peaks and plummets down the eastern slopes, it transforms. It becomes a demon. It is a stream of dry, evil air, depleted of moisture and carrying the hatred of fire. As the dry air plunges into the valley, it compresses under massive atmospheric pressure. The tighter the air mass is compressed, the greater the friction becomes. The temperature rises at a dizzying, uncontrollable pace. What slams into the faces of valley residents is no longer a gentle, cooling breeze. It is a wave of heat. It is suffocating, bone-dry, sharp, and scalding, as if spewed from the depths of hell. When this killer wind combines perfectly with the apocalyptic heat of 2026, it creates a natural biological weapon. This weapon ruthlessly slaughters all emerging life. It wrings the very last drop of water from yellowing leaves. It dries up rivers, leaving cracked beds, and cruelly drains the vitality from our own bodies. How exactly does this affect the human body? When we discuss this brutal, unforgiving combination of dry winds and melting El Niño heat, we are not talking about soulless TV forecasts. We are talking about the most brutal, life-draining machine on Earth. For an elderly man like Arthur, living alone in Fresno, this heat is a physical map of total bodily exhaustion against nature's adversity. Imagine the moment the actual outdoor temperature refuses to stop at a supposedly cool 104 degrees Fahrenheit measured in the shade. Instead, it pours its wrath onto the burning asphalt, reflecting off rusted roofs at a terrifying 140 degrees. In that exact instant, frail human bodies are forced into a brutal fight for survival. Seniors aged 55 to 75, carrying underlying health conditions, face an unequal, deadly battle. Drops of sweat emerge from pores but cannot even cool the skin. The fiery wind licks them clean, evaporating them instantly without a trace. The blood inside our veins is thickened by the heat into a dense, sluggish liquid. The heart is forced to pump with frantic, maddening intensity. Chest palpitations echo as if the rib cage might burst, just to push that mud-like blood to the brain. The heat of this death zone does not just burn the skin outside our fragile clothing. It is literally drinking our red blood, chewing our muscles, and sucking the life force from everything. Nature's scythe will show absolutely no mercy, leniency, or pity for the innocent. It holds no sympathy for naive people who believe a cozy blanket and an air-conditioned room will save their lives. The power grid will falter. What happens when the earth itself can no longer breathe? The root cause of this destructive cycle is a shift in the universe's energy, forcing a new world order. But if you naively think this suffocating, breathtaking inferno is the ultimate punishment, you are dead wrong. It is a mistake paid for with the lives of entire families.
It's way too hot in here.
The cyclic law of cause and effect has absolutely no room for half-hearted pity.
Okay, but don't let the food spoil.
Look at the once fertile fields of California. The ground cracks into massive segments, resembling bleeding wounds. Rivers that once rolled with heavy red silt now expose blinding white sandbanks, baking under the deadly burning sun. The honest farmers of the valley are depleted. They cry out, begging the heavens for a drought-breaking rain, and the sky will indeed answer them. Nature will listen. But the heavens will not reply with gentle, soothing raindrops to ease the physical and mental agony. The earth and sky will cruelly retaliate with the second extreme of utter destruction. This will elevate the tragedy to a completely new level. From the extreme peak of a fiery volcano, tens of thousands of suffering souls will be thrown directly into the extreme peak of water's wrath. The universe's most cruel irony lies in an unchanging, eternal rule. The place that thirsts the most for a single drop of water becomes the exact target for the unparalleled fury of the flood. Welcome to the next chapter of humanity's climate tragedy. This is where the most vulnerable land cracks open to defend against superstorms carrying leveling, destructive power from the Pacific Ocean. How does the ocean unleash this secondary terror? According to highly classified meteorological files leaking across global survival networks, a terrifying mechanism is at work. The unprecedented record heat of the ocean surface acts like a gigantic pump. It is pumping a massive amount of water vapor into the atmosphere, creating colossal, pitch-black water bombs, hovering right above our heads. If the majestic mountains act as a fortress, blocking gentle breezes and forging the fire demon winds, they also play another cruel role. The fragile valley lands, built on blood and tears, turn themselves into a giant funnel. They suck in, without missing a single drop, the most aggressive, fiercest hurricanes roaring in from the Pacific.
A massive storm is
In this era of global
That's a
panic,
huge storm.
as supply chains
Could it come
collapse
inland?
and the middle class
wind is already
loses their
picking
life
up.
savings,
We need to be ready.
climate change is breaking all traditional meteorological rules. Offshore storms are no longer mild. They do not stop at Category 1 or 2 winds like in our grandparents' time. They secretly absorb dark energy, evolving into ocean-born demons. We are talking about monster superstorms with Category 5 winds or higher. The destructive power of these invisible beasts can easily tear apart the sturdiest concrete roofs. They snap massive reinforced power poles like children breaking fragile matchsticks. But please, engrave this in your heart. Roaring winds high above have never been the biggest killer during a hurricane. The true evil, the cold-blooded, invisible assassin carrying mass destruction, is the historic, extreme rainfall that dumps immediately after the wind. What happens when a year's worth of rain hits baked earth? In just one short, doomed night, the cracking sky can dump a massive amount of water equivalent to an entire year's rainfall directly onto our heads. This apocalyptic picture is frighteningly similar to prophecies of a miniature great flood. Black water rises, swallowing everything, mercilessly washing away all the proud material achievements of humanity. This is the exact, bitter moment the valley's geographic trap unleashes its unparalleled, dual cruelty. Try to recall the image of the rock faces baked red hot. Remember the dry, barren agricultural fields cracked wide open from the prolonged drought. According to undeniable geological science, the Earth's crust has been frantically heated to a brutal 140 degrees Fahrenheit for months. The once fertile topsoil bakes into a hard, calloused crust. It becomes no different than a massive, or a cruel layer of concrete, locking away all paths to life. The ground completely loses its natural ability to absorb and drain water. The consequence? Thousands of millimeters of rainwater pour down like a vengeful waterfall. Instead of gently seeping into the aquifers to revive life, it immediately pools together. It transforms into frantic rolling currents overflowing on the surface of that clay concrete. Combined with the steep, treacherous mountain terrain, this massive volume of water hurtles straight down into the narrow, populated flatlands. A localized apocalypse begins with zero warning. How fast can the floodwaters destroy a community? This colossal mass of water, carrying immense wrath, transforms into roaring dragons of bloody, boiling mud. It brings earth-shattering flash floods and mudslides without a single warning siren. The deafening roar of tens of thousands of tons of rock and soil rolling down from the peaks can easily flatten an entire peaceful town. It wipes out hundreds of innocent lives in just a careless blink of nature's eye. The most bitter, ironic tragedy repeats itself. Yesterday morning, a seasoned farmer named Thomas wept while kneeling, carefully scraping every drop of muddy water from a dried-up, rocky well to save a flickering seedling. Tonight, that same fragile seedling, and the lives of his entire family, are mercilessly submerged by the water gods under 10 feet of cold, dark mud. Please, do not harbor the illusion that this is merely a random natural disaster. This is a bloody punishment for humanity arrogantly breaking the sacred, absolute balance of the ecosystem. Protective forests that shielded us from storms were mercilessly cut down and vanished. They left behind bald mountain slopes full of bleeding wounds, ready to collapse on human heads at any moment. It is a brutal paradox of blood and salty tears for the people of these valleys. They struggle to survive the scorching heat, only to frantically run for their lives to swim across raging floods. This alternating devastation between extreme fire and extreme water is absolutely never a coincidence. It is an intentional act of cosmic cleansing. What can we do to survive? Faced with the primitive fury of earth and sky, when all concrete fortresses become small and fragile, we absolutely must not surrender to despair. The universe is inherently compassionate. I pray, within ultimate destruction lies a path to survival for those who calm their minds. I solemnly reveal the ultimate survival codes, forged in blood over thousands of years. The first code is the spatial fortress. When the invisible killer wind brings its 140-degree heat, our biggest mistake is facing it directly. The west is the gateway of death, where the melting sun pounds the home. The ultimate rule: absolutely do not open the doors to invite the enemy in. From the first ray of light until darkness falls, the entire system of western doors and blinds must be sealed completely shut. Turn your home into a perfectly insulated bunker, but the house cannot be suffocated. You must utilize the universe's breathing rhythm through 2 golden time frames. Open your doors only before 7 a.m., when the morning is pure, and after 7 p.m., and when the cool night air soothes the fiery heat. During these times, the house breathes, expelling the trapped, stagnant heat. Otherwise, the fortress remains sealed. The second code uses water and nature to conquer fire. Look at the green trees around you. They are sacred guardians. A trellis of vines on a western wall or a large canopy tree is a natural radiation shield. Place large basins of water in hidden corners, or hang soaking wet towels in front of air vents. The dry wind is forced to absorb the moisture, instantly breaking its heat. What is the final, ultimate rule? The third code protects your physical body. It is the discipline of survival. The elderly are fragile, like candles in a storm. The golden rule: absolutely do not go outside between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. That is when the temperature reaper is hunting. Drink water continuously in small sips before you ever feel thirsty. Keep electrolytes on hand to replace what evaporates. Crucially, if a loved one like Martha shows signs of heat stroke, dizziness, or irregular heartbeat, never pour ice-cold water directly on them. The sudden temperature shock causes blood vessels to spasm violently, leading to immediate stroke. Cool them slowly with a damp towel on the neck and armpits. When the cosmic wheel turns from fire to water and the superstorms tear the sky apart, the final code is simple: evacuate. Property, houses, and money are external things you can rebuild, but you only have one life. When the sirens wail, leave everything behind. Move your family to high, solid ground. Never gamble your life to protect a house from the roaring red mud dragon. Once swallowed by the deep water, regret is meaningless. The year 2026 is a brutal survival test to filter the resilient from the unprepared. Maintain a quiet mind amidst the storm. Share your water and respect nature's absolute power. After the darkest night comes a brilliant dawn. Please share this life and death message to wake up your loved ones. Leave the words "stay safe" in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future survival alert.